Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for this magical show. This is a really important one on cutting ties. So, we're going to be talking about the 10 things that you need to know, and probably a lot more, as I do tend to just keep adding things in as they come in. And already been getting some really important downloads this morning. At the end of today's show, we're also going to be, I'll share a ritual with you that you can do, because not only is it important to release things on an energetic level, but sometimes it's actually even more magical, more powerful to do a release on a physical level. So I will be sharing a practice with you that I love, which is on cutting ties. So I just also want to remind you guys that we do have the event coming up really, really shortly. On September 1st, we're going to have, let me just bring this up, our online event. And this will be our manifestation magic heartfelt connection online event. So several of you have already signed up. So you do receive a free invite when you buy a potion. It does take a little while for potions to arrive, so you might not receive your potion in time for this, but I would love for you guys to join us regardless. So anyway, what we will be doing is choosing an affirmation to focus on for that whole day. But before we get into our 16 hours, which will be our private, where we'll be working with that individually. But to start out that, what we will do is join together in a 90-minute session. So we'll all be chatting online together, face to face. If you're not comfortable with video, that's okay. You can have yours on closed. But yeah, it's going to be great to connect from different parts of the world. And what we will also do, I will be running a meditation that will lead us into this. So yeah, we're going to be clearing some things. We're going to be setting up for successful manifestation. I don't know if you guys can see my little garage band thing keeps jumping up. It's been doing it for days. But so nice to see Soul Family here. Hey, Amy Rose. Rainbow Sun, and we've got Tim as well. He'll be working, so I'm sure. Hey Tim, you're watching on the replay, and we've got Ken here, Britt Marie. Yeah, it's so lovely to have you guys with us. So let's get into today. So for today, potions that I would recommend if you are working with cutting ties would definitely be cleansing vibes. So with cleansing vibes, we have I release what no longer serves me. So this is more of a generalized affirmation. You may also want to come in with your manifestation specific to what it is that you're cutting ties or letting go of. Hey Jake. I know I can't pronounce your HRT wisp or whisper. Lovely to see you guys here. The other thing that you can work with if you're cutting ties is heal a broken heart as well. It really depends on what kind of tie you're cutting. And what we can also talk about too is sometimes it's not that we're just cutting ties with relationships or friendships and things that have expired or that we're no longer sort of feeling that we want to have in our lives. This can also sometimes be cutting places with, or cutting ties with workplaces, cutting ties with, I guess, different living situations, like the environment that you're living in or the suburb that you're living in, or even moving out of the city. So sometimes that can be cutting ties. So when we look into astrology, there's a thing that happens. It's called the Viva Axis line. And essentially it is this almost like etheric strings that anchor and join and center us into our hometowns and into the location of where we're born. So all of these strings go out. What happens sometimes is, thank you, Rainbow Sun, is that sometimes these vibrational alignments aren't really harmonious for us. So it can be good to reassess, have a look if there's different astrocartography lines that you could be better to live on. Definitely not on your moon, unless you want to have deeper emotional stuff come up. But yeah, check out Viva Axis lines, check out astrocartography lines if it is something to do with you're wanting to cut ties with where it is that you're living. This also relates to cutting ties with an old or previous version of yourself too, because sometimes we just want a fresh start. Sometimes we want to create ourselves new, or you're working on a huge manifestation where you need to pretty much bring up a whole new character version of yourself. So keep this in mind today when we're talking about cutting ties, that it doesn't just apply to relationships. So let me just start by getting into my little windows that I've got to share with you guys. So I've just got my notes because my printer still thinks that we're in Mercury retrograde, even though we've gone direct. So I couldn't print out my notes. But I really want to talk about things first from an emotional and a physical point of view. So the most important thing I would say would be identifying your core issue. So once we find out more information around it, so say for example, it could be around a relationship or something that's no longer serving you. This is where I find like journaling really good. And just looking into, okay, what led up to this experience or what led up to this connection happening in the first place? Is there something within like my previous relationships or previous patterns that has continued to repeat to manifest? So you really want to look into that, because we don't want to just cut ties and then have someone else come in to take the place. It's like a little bit of a tag team with actors, is the way that I sort of see it. So we definitely want to look at the emotional core issue around the situation. What I also am thinking of creating a meditation around. Oh, and thank you to those that have just checked out the new holographic voice imprinting meditation. I'm so enjoying reading your comments, and it's so uplifting and encouraging for me to record more meditations, because it is sometimes a little bit of a tech issue to get my head around, but I do love doing it, and I love the end result of seeing everyone be able to have that to go to as a little a tool, because I think we all need tools nowadays. So one thing I'm thinking of creating a meditation around. I've just written notes before we started, because Spirit starts downloading a lot of things before we talk. I've written here, recognize. So how does this situation that you're dealing with or you're letting go of, or even if we're looking at situations around manifestation, how does this make your inner child feel? And also having a look into what was it that your inner child was always wishing and hoping for and wanting to have more of, or what was it that they struggled to manifest? Because this will often show us the core underlying blueprint around things that have happened in our life, or things that we just can't push past, in terms of like feeling like a brick wall, or no matter how hard we push and we try, it just can be one of those things that it's harder to break free from. Hey, Lorianne, lovely to have you in the chat too. So yeah, definitely want to create a meditation around this. So this will be the part of you that you need to heal. So definitely look at, how does your inner child feel about the situation to do with you cutting ties? So say, for example, it could be a friendship. And with that, it might be when you were younger, friends might have been hard to come by, or perhaps, we've seen situations in the schoolyards and things where those vulnerable kids that are, giving things away, or they're giving kids money in order to feel that they have friendships. You'll see that like with over here, we call it the canteen, or like the dining room or lunchroom type situation. So we've all seen that in movies and things like that. So have a look into sometimes why it is that we will extend relationships or friendships. What is it that it is saying to your internal core part? It might be about not feeling lovable. So in that case, that's the part that we need to heal before we move on to cut ties. So cutting ties is more sort of the symbolic process. Let me just see what else. And just give me like a thumbs up if that is making sense to you. Hey, Darren, lovely to see you here, gorgeous. So yeah, just give me a thumbs up if that is making sense when I'm talking about working and healing the inner child stuff or relationship patterns before moving on to cut physical ties. So the next thing that I've written is accessing emotional impact. So before making decisions and things around cutting ties and around like possibly physically eliminating a place, a person, a situation out of your life, you want to really evaluate, like, how will this impact my life? So if I no longer have this person in my life, so say, for example, you might be dating someone at work, and if you break up with them and you're still at the job, that would be a pretty hefty emotional impact. So just looking into, before we're releasing anything, how does this impact your overall life? And I just think that's probably the easiest example to use. So you want to look also into, is it going to cause more stress, more anxiety, Or do you feel that there's perhaps freedom on the other side of that fear, and staying in the situation might be producing more anxiety or more emotional stress, or more kind of feeling like you've got a cover over you, and not a positive one. But yeah, so have a look at the emotional impact. This is also the same in friendship. So you might always have that one friend that is always taking, or always dumping emotional things on you. And then when it comes time for you to talk about the things, there's nothing left, or they're like, oh, I better go. See ya. Those kind of situations. So have a look if there is a two-way street in this kind of dynamic on the cords that you're cutting. Also, it's really important as well to have a look at your role, your part in this. So sometimes we talk about in relationships, there's the codependent and there's the narcissist. So they usually will be in a point of attraction, just like magnets, negative and positive. So have a look in what kind of dance the situation that you're cutting ties from is. So if it is say perhaps like a town, it might be that there's limited opportunities and things. So in cutting ties, you're actually opening yourself up to broadening your horizons, or opening yourself up to opportunities. So just another way to look at it if you're focused on a place. Let me just see. Oh, hey, Jenny. So lovely to have you here. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work too on astrology. Really exciting. I'm so glad that it's resonating. Yeah, guys, give me a thumbs up. Also, let me know if there's a specific area of life that you're wanting to cut ties with, because I can also tailor this conversation to be around that too. And hopefully you're feeling better, Britt Marie. It sounds like you're going through a bit at the moment. Just seeing Gloriana saying, Sol, I'm in that situation now. 3 ladies that act like my mom, gotta say bye to them. All right, so definitely looking into what is that unhealed inner child part. Where do they need love and nurturing right now? What is it that they were seeking or asking for as a child? So what you can do with this is hand on your heart, hand on your belly, actually saying to your inner child, hi, sweetheart, I see you. And I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. And let them know like how you've done it as an adult, and let them know of all the things that you've had. So talk to them about like other people that you've had in your life that perhaps do maybe vibrate on a higher level, that do bring love, that bring all these things that you've maybe sought out for in that mother figure as well. So that would be a great part before doing the physical cutting of the ties. And the next thing that I have, and I'm just going to bring this up now, why I see it, because Rainbow Sun said timeline shift. So that is also something that I want to remind you guys of. And I'll just bring this up. Let me show you again. So for those of you that haven't discovered this one, this is probably one of the favorite meditations people have loved so far. So this one here that I'm circling, this beautiful blue color. So this is the Celestial Higher Timeline Meditation. So that one has been pretty popular. It's one that I was going to recommend at the end of the show in terms of like timeline jumping as well. So definitely one to have a look into if you haven't done that. And I can see Jenny saying this is a good topic, very important in these times where people are going in such different directions. And Jenny, I think you brought up such a good point that when you're talking about going in different directions, it's not sometimes that there has to be a good or a bad guy. It can be that we're oscillating and we're shifting and changing vibrationally. And this will organically place us in another direction. So, it's not always a bad thing, though it can be hard in terms of if you are more of a people pleaser, or you're more wanting to not upset or disappoint anyone. This is more your stuff than it is sometimes other people's things. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Amy Rose. A fantastic meditation. Align me to my highest timeline for my highest potential. I'm so happy to hear that. Really, really happy. Let me just see. And I can see Jake also saying, how recent was the shift in the last 24 hours? I haven't checked what's happening with the Schumann frequency, but it does definitely feel like there's been massive shifting and things too. So let me just bring back up. I'm going to stop my screen share, bring up my other window. So we are now up to setting clear goals. So with this, I do really also love to think about and use a little bit of NLP in regards to this. And that's also why doing timeline and inner child work can also be really helpful. So yeah, setting your clear goals. So this is really, it's one of the crucial steps because you don't want to just cut ties and then let the universe kind of bring you anything in. You want to cut ties, but also know or have in your mindset what it is that you're visualizing and working towards. And I don't know if you guys can see Lyra, she's just there. She's been active chasing a fly, which she actually caught. Yeah, she's been running around. So yeah, definitely having a look into clear goals. So having that written down, I find is really good because it will help you to stay focused, to stay motivated. I've got little things like little post-its and things around everywhere. So those sort of things, or even if you're very visual, like we've talked about in other episodes, having a vision board. So having that constant reminder of what it is that you do want, but also looking at your vision board, mentally asking yourself what no longer fits, because sometimes we can outgrow workplaces or relationships and things, and when you look at your vision board, that becomes abundantly clear and abundantly true. So having a look into that. The next thing that I've got written, and this is really, we're going more over the psychology and NLP parts in this. I will tap into the magic shamanic side after we've gone through these. I just felt when I was writing my 10 points out, I just felt that I had to keep them separate because I find that I really want to work with the psychology when I'm creating a shift and then tap into the magic. So let me know if you're the same with that. And what I've also written is creating a transition plan. So it's again just putting down, journaling, like what it is that you are going to do in terms of steps. So say, for example, if it is a codependent narcissistic situation, you might want to put in your plan that you block, delete, or that you don't check social media. You want to make sure that you're not going to be re-exposing yourself, not only to that person that might be of that toxic sort of nature, but you don't want to re-exposing your beautiful heart back into opening up wounds or back into perhaps even being prey again in one of those extreme situations. So that is vital and important to have a look into a plan. The other thing too that I have written down here is communicate this clearly and effectively. So definitely you don't want to, if you are closing off, say for example, a relationship, you don't want to just leave it open and ghost either. You want to make sure that it's clear, that everyone has clear understanding around what's happening. This sometimes can be harder if you are in a domestic violence situation. So this is important to also clearly communicate or reach out for help and seek support and guidance. So it's another one of my points I'm skipping ahead that I've written down. So also with this, you want to have a look onto like with your clear communication with yourself as well, you want to have a look into what part of it was like my issue. We don't want to just put the blame all onto one other person, because sometimes there's also healing lessons in having a look at like what drew us into that kind of situation in the first place. So really have a look at what it was that you've learned from this too. So definitely using mindfulness practice. So meditation is essential for this. I definitely would recommend also the new one. Let me just bring this back up. So just a couple of days ago, I did pop up, let me just bring this window, if it behaves for me. Okay. So with this one, we do have, there it is. So the meditation, holographic voice imprinting for abundance, love, and healing. This is a really beautiful, lovely healing one too, especially if it is that you need to scan to get deeper things to come up. This would be a really great one to do for this little step in the process. And I can see Jody say, I listened to your Soul Star meditation and have such a beautiful visualization. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you, Jody. And I can see Rainbow Sun saying, yes, yesterday and today were integration. Mercury is moving closer to fully moving forward. Isn't that a relief? It's such a good feeling. All right. Hope you have a wonderful time too, Jenny. Thank you for watching. Okay. And let me just bring back up. Sorry, I've got a few windows I'm alternating for because my printer's not working. So yeah, definitely. You also not only want to clearly communicate, um, and really how we've talked about in the other shows too. So say for example, you're talking to someone and they're really not understanding or getting the point. Do you remember in a few shows back, I think it was on the magnetic show, we also talked about NLP, we talked about neuro-linguistic programming, we talked about love languages. So say for example, someone's really not seeing your point of view or they're not getting the point, you may need to speak to this clearly in their language. So say, for example, you're visual and you're talking about like how you see things from your point of view, but the other person could be feelings based, and you might need to change your language to get them to understand clearly. So you may need to say, when this situation happens, this is how it makes me feel. So really talk about more your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and how you feel kind of viscerally or emotionally, like upset or, stagnant, whatever it is. Whereas if you're visual, you might be asking them to see your point of view. So making sure you've got clear communication. The other thing too would be prepare for the emotional response. So that is a huge one. So if you know it's going to be a bit of a volatile situation, you may need to have support there to help you to really stay grounded and even at times safe. So definitely seek the support of someone in psychology to help you through this, especially if it is a pattern or a situation where you keep going back in and you're not getting different results from talking to this other person. You will need to have someone there as a pillar of light and a pillar of grounding and a pillar of hope. That is vital for getting out of patterns and situations and just getting insight into why things were, why you were maybe attracted to that in the first place. So definitely, seeking guidance and things from friends can be great, but sometimes having it from a professional can just be that much deeper and profound. And someone who doesn't know us sometimes can really sometimes just be real. And sometimes it's easier to say no or to ignore what it is friends are saying. So definitely seeking support and guidance, practicing self-care. So with this, definitely heal a broken heart if this is resonating for you. And it says, I am grateful for my strong heart and resilient spirit. So this one is really, really good. I'm so happy to hear that, Jake. So yeah, love NLP techniques. They are super helpful in all interactions to help with others and with yourself. Good stuff. I agree. And oh, that's so lovely. So how magical your last meditation was, Rita. The best ever for me. Thank you. And I did have some beautiful comments with a few people saying that it was the best one that they'd ever done. I think there was one gorgeous lady saying in her 69 years, having been involved in the spiritual field for 40 years and meditating and things, it was the best one she'd ever done. So that was the highest compliment to me. And I can see Emma saying, I struggle to gain the difference between boundaries and self-care versus selfish. Yeah. So look back into the childhood stuff. There may have been some people-pleasing things at the core of that. So sometimes when we're looking at self-care and boundaries, and you might have that thing of where you drop everything to go help others, even though you and I can see my internet blink out when we were talking about that. Thank you, Rainbow Sun. Yeah, it was such a beautiful compliment with that meditation. So, just have a look into the inner child stuff if there is any people pleasing as well. And definitely, sometimes, like with the loops, definitely getting out of your head, like writing it down, but then do a meditation and ask for further insight. Definitely seek the help of a therapist or practitioner. Yes, so my internet is actually, I've got someone coming to look at it in person today to switch me on to what's called fiber. Apparently, it's better than NBN. For those of you not in the dinosaur age like us here in Australia, we've only just gone on to NBN a couple of years ago. So I'm just having next little step is, so practicing self-care. So you guys know we've talked about this on some of the other shows, especially around healing a broken heart. So your baths, your candle work, sprinkling potion in your bath, because you can actually use these potions in your bath or around your candle magic work. So the other thing too, reflect and reframe. So this is mainly something sometimes you can do a little bit before and after if you're doing the cutting the tie process. So have a look, reflect beforehand, do your cutting ties, and then do a reframe. So I see this as a system that, or a step that you can use sort of like at the beginning, and then you do your cutting in the middle, and then the reframe would be at the end. So a reframe would be really looking at like what you learned from the situation with this cutting of ties. Yeah, that makes sense. So definitely with middle child issues as well, it's sometimes about feeling seen and feeling heard. And so we see people pleasing, or we see sometimes that there's chaos with the older child and the younger child as well, like from different extents. And the middle child sometimes is getting love and affection from pleasing others, or for being the calm one. So that sometimes can also be the situation. And Lorianne, candles and incense help you along with salt baths. Yes, definitely. So the other thing that I have written too after reflecting and reframing, so you can also use NLP to do this. So you might want to go in and do some timeline work or do the timeline meditation that I have. With the timeline work with NLP, we generally tend to close your eyes and see yourself floating above the timeline. And you can also see like the various different pinpoints. You can zoom in like you would on a phone, go into that point in the timeline. So say for you, Emma, you might want to go into the core point on where you really felt the first place that your inner child's taking you to. Say, for example, it's age 7, and you zoom in on that and you see that little part of you maybe not feeling seen or heard. And so you want to go into that part. What you can do with the reframe is you can do like a bit of inner child healing where you're actually saying to her, like how we were saying before, I love you, I see you, and I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way, and letting her know like how amazing things get later, even if it's just picking a few things that you can think of that you really love about your life or the people in it, or whatever it is that you're grateful for, and telling her all about it. If things are emotionally charged when you're doing timeline work, I like to visualize it black and white because it takes the heat and emotion out. If it's super super charged, hey Seema, so with the meditations, I've got them for free on YouTube, and I do have a few on my website that you can purchase that are more like the Syrian Star language ones. I also am a teacher on Insight Timer, so I only have 2 meditations on there. I have to finish uploading the catalog. But yeah, you'll find my meditations there as well. So anyway, what we were saying around turning things black and white and timeline work, you can also visualize it through a TV screen, because then there's less of an emotional reaction. It's like you're watching a script or watching a movie take place. And then you also want to come out of that childhood up and move yourself along forward and reframe. So with that, you might be visualizing something totally different, or you might be seeing yourself in a situation of where you're feeling fully healed. Oh, and Jake, perfect timing. So yes, inner child healing can be so powerful. I love the technique of healing and clearing that inner child and often bringing them fully back and healed with you to integrate. Definitely. And, as a mom, I often will pick my inner child up and have her on my hip and just love and adore her. I find that really, it's like it cancels things out on a psychic level. Just try it. It sounds weird, but it does work. The next thing that I have is embrace new opportunities, because if we're staying in the same situation, we're staying, say, perhaps like limited or stuck or things like that, what we can find is that we attract more of the same. So say, for example, this is where sometimes going on holiday, we feel really good and we're like, especially if you have ADHD, you might be like, oh my gosh, I should move here. And you start looking at real estate, things like that. That can be a little bit of the avoidant type situation. So you really want to have a look at how you can embrace new opportunities, but you want to feel like your core is healed. So having a look at old ties that served you, focusing on embracing new opportunities and experiences, because sometimes the old part of us will be like, that is new, that is different, that is a little bit scary. So you need to push past that fear, step into your Queen of Wands energy, and put your big girl pants or big boy pants on and start to lean into that. Start to feel or get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Tim Ferriss, who wrote one of my favorite books, The 4 Hour Work Week. Yeah, perfect, Jake. So, Jake, if you need a quantum hypnotherapist, Jake is amazing. So, working on the quantum to heal the past. So, yeah, I can highly recommend Jake's channel too. He has some amazing content that he's been putting out. Um, oh, and Corbin is saying, wow, 7 years old would be your Saturn square. I can see how this is a tough time for many, definitely. And the reason I pinpointed age 7 is because it comes up in so many readings that I do and in my kinesiology work. So, in terms of your aura, and I'll be teaching more about this a little bit later this year, but our aura separates from our parents. So, say for example, these two candles, you've got the mother and the child, and their auras are linked until age 7. In Rudolf Steiner, theosophy, they talk about this is age 7 to 9, where the child starts to separate and form their own willpower. Yeah, I love that. How lucky are we that we get to be in one of the most incredible communities and share and be like resources and guides for each other. I love that. So anyway, that's like why age 7 is super, super important. So definitely embracing new opportunities. I forget what it was I was about to talk about. Something. It'll come back to me, don't worry. So yeah, you definitely want to be embracing confidence. Another meditation hypnotherapy thing that I love is Paul McKenna. He's now put it up on YouTube. So if you in YouTube type in Paul McKenna, I can make you confident. So working on confidence, starting to create your character. Because what happens when you create your character and you're standing in that new version of yourself? So say, for example, you've got a trauma bonded relationship and you're so used to playing these roles, playing these characters that when you sort of this is why I was talking before about like going no contact sometimes can be really, really super, super fundamental when you're starting to heal. So when perhaps say you have done the healing work and you've moved into this higher, new aligned, beautiful, strong queen or king, empress energy, what happens is sometimes this whole person can come back and you can be looking at it from up here going, oh my gosh, what was it that I ever saw in this situation? Because you're not living from that place of trauma. You're not living from inner child stuff. And you're also opened yourself up to higher vibration, to new opportunities and experiences. So, yeah, a little bit of role play with my candles. Let me know, thumbs up if that is making sense, or a little love heart, just to let me know that that sinks in. Oh, hey, John. And so, what we have too is from a shamanic point of view, really tuning into your intuition is essential. So those steps that we just mentioned, those 10 previous steps, that's more, I base that around psychology. And I studied a lot of transformational kinesiology, and I will be having my teacher back on when she's back from holiday. We just had issues with the internet while she was away. So we're going to be talking about TK, transformational psychology, kinesiology, transpersonal counseling. That's a bit around like what my background is with my kinesiology too, and a bit of NLP. So that first 10 step was based on that. I did find that I couldn't leave these 10 shamanic, more kind of magical 10 steps out. So number 1, tune into your intuition. So before you start brewing your potion, before you start cutting your ties, tap into your intuition and see what it is that those like little whispers, those little like, magical messages, synchronicities and things. So you might be, if you're in a cutting ties situation, seeing 555. I know for myself, when I've seen this, it can be heartbreaking because we're like, oh crap, this is like really ending. This is the end. And you can feel like deeply sad. But know that on the other side of seeing 555, it's because something new and wonderful and amazing and more aligned with who you are is coming in. So I know sometimes people don't like seeing 555. it's one of those harder ones to embrace. 222 will be relationship stuff and looking into self-love. My next point, number 2, if you're looking at it from a shamanic magical perspective, is having a look at the energetic impact that this situation is creating for you, because sometimes we can downplay it. So I really want you guys to look into how this situation has made you feel. Thank you, Jody. I love knowing that this is thinking and making sense. And I love being in this space with all of you guys as well. And Lorianne saying, yes, intuitive abilities are getting more powerful and helpful too. Definitely. Okay, so another good one. So 444. This is more an alignment to do with your angels, your spirit guides. It's more that they're giving you a synchronicity. So when you see 444, ask yourself, what was it I was just thinking? Or what is it that's coming up for me at the moment? And it's definitely an alignment. It's them sort of like with the flags, or at the airport, you see the plane directors like getting the plane to come in, so that it's you're on track with the 444, and that they're there giving love and support. So yeah, definitely assess the energetic impact of this, and is it worth it, or is there something, because sometimes things can have an energetic impact on you, but you might still be learning things. So say, for example, you might be in a situation with people pleasing, but you're learning to speak up for yourself. You're learning to really develop this inner voice and this strength. So you don't want to end that situation too soon before you've got everything out of it that you need. So number 3, craft your potion with intention. So definitely, I would say I'm an expert with this. And yeah, so say for example, when I was making I Am That Witch, what I did was think about my intention. So it's like, right, I want this energy that's going to embody the High Priestess, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Swords energy, this bad bitch era. And I've seen it on t-shirts where it's like Queen of Wands, I think it's the Queen of Swords, and maybe the Empress, no, the High Priestess, and it says, I am that bitch. So that was a little bit of my intention with creating this, was I embrace my full power and magic. So it's to unapologetically step into yourself. So in creating this, I was thinking about what plants, what kind of energies not only create like a little bit of a cleansing vibe, but really help me to tap into my magic, my essence, my power. So for me, magenta, because it's a color of your heart chakra mixed in with crown and a bit of third eye. So it's like calling your psychic power back too. So with some of them, you'll see that I've also used alchemy. So like the abundance one has orange, and has turmeric and ginger, things that are stimulating, that work with more kind of planetary alchemy side of things. So this is also, I love being in this space with you too. Thank you, Rainbow Sun. And we're so blessed. We really are. I know I say it every show. Yeah, Britt Marie, if you love magenta, this would be your potion. And even down to the gorgeous and amazing Kim that I worked with, that helped bring my visions of what I wanted for my packaging to life, and was super, super patient as I reiterated different things. She made this cute little witch's hat to go with it. So with your potion, having a look, if you're making your tea, you're putting your intention, you're putting your energy into this. So as you're creating this too, you want to charge up. So you don't just want to be sitting how you would normally be. And I'm drinking cleansing vibes again today. I had some yesterday too. But yeah, you don't want to just be sitting like you're having a normal cup of tea where we're usually unconscious about it. You really want to make it a ritual. So definitely crafting your potion, or using the potions that I make, which definitely potentize. I have added a lot of special magic into them. Let me see what else I've written. So yeah, looking into planetary stuff. So say, for example, you're working with Venus or you're working with love energy. This would be definitely working with like Heal a Broken Heart or Love Potion, because it has rose in it. Some of them have like cinnamon and different things, which are also more kind of Venusian. If you're wanting to get like some fire in your belly with the potion that you're making, sounds weird, but coriander or cilantro, as you guys call it across the other side of the realm. So this has Mars energy. And this will help you to really embrace that fire as well. And let me just see. Oh, cute. You would have looked adorable in your magenta hoodie. I can just imagine that in your gorgeous house. So, Amy Rose, the process of healing is really coming back into the fullness of who you truly are, is coming home to yourself, one self loving step at a time. That is poetically put. I love that. Really, really beautiful. And I can see Jake is planning on working with abundance for the meditation event. I'm thinking the same. That's when I've questioned everything. And I had a magical experience with abundance yesterday for my sister's birthday. And thank you for everyone who was sharing the love with my gorgeous sister on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So yesterday we were shopping and I was in the health food store and talking to a lady about glycine and about like gut healing and, vegan options and things like that. And we just like were having a really good chat. And she's like, "Oh, here's a candle for you." She just had one and she's like, "Do you want this candle?" And I'm like, "Sure." It was like new in the box. So when we walked out of the store, I'm like to my sister, "This must be for you. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. You need a candle." And then we went to a restaurant, and what happened was we ordered our food, and me being a celiac allergic to gluten, the lady brought our food out and she's like, "Oh, hold on a second. Sorry. I've not made one element celiac friendly." She's like, "I'll go make you another one. But if your sister can eat this," so my sister manifested an extra bonus meal. So yeah, we were like just totally in flow that day. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Amy Rose. So yeah, she is the Virgo side of things. And my dad is tomorrow. So let's have a look at the next thing that I've written down. But yeah, tapping into those abundance and gratitude really reminds us of what we can manifest. So please let me know what you're choosing to manifest for our event. So Jake and I are going to be working on abundance. I know a few of you are too. I think it's a great one to choose. And I will help you in that session as well. If you haven't quite chosen it yet, I'll show you how we can use some kinesiology and hypnotherapy tools to really like get the exact clear statement of what you'll be working with. So setting magical boundaries. So with this, it's not just setting boundaries when we're looking at it from a shamanic point of view or a witchy point of view. Thank you. And when we're doing this, so say, for example, we talked about with the psychology point of view, stating like, this is my boundary, you cannot cross this. With a witchy point of view, you guys have heard me say time and time again, sprinkling black salt over the threshold of the door, writing your thing at the top of the door to say no ill intent shall enter, or no, whatever it is you feel guided to write around. And with the boundary side of things as well, you might even want to use the dragon's blood that we talked about. So essentially, you're just clearing and setting up your space, not allowing anything with negative malice or intent to come in. Look into your words that you're using when you're writing it down, remembering our words are spells. So you want to phrase everything to be more in the protective, more in the positive for you as well. So just be careful with your words. So prepare for energetic shifts. So if we're looking about it shamanically, these things can actually happen really, really fast when we're working with it shamanically. So, thanks, guys. Yeah, this is a lot of fun, isn't it? Talking about how we can integrate magic into our lives. So yeah, definitely prepare yourself for these energetic shifts. So you can have a thermos filled with your potion. Say if you've got to go into a workplace situation and you might be working with like the cleansing and protecting energy. So you might also be wearing, whether it's like a little evil eye pendant or, a pentagram for protection or something crystal wise like shungite, kyanite, black tourmaline is a good one. You'll notice Julie wears a beautiful black tourmaline too, such a super strong, and I just saw 444 for a second. So having a look into your magical circle for support as well. So you have your go-to. We have our gorgeous community here as well. Yes, perfect. This is wonderful. So you can even get like cards or draw a ritual of protection to pop above the top of your doorway. Let me speed along because I want to make sure we have time to get the candle magic ritual and other rituals too. There's a few that I want to tell you about. So definitely nurturing your spirit from that shamanic point of view. So I wanted to mention it again, but from the shamanic point of view too, this might be taking yourself on a little bit of a vision quest or a journey to get the insight, to really look at what it is on a higher oversoul level that you're supposed to learn from the situation down here in the earth realm. So vision quest potion in the bath, really good for really nurturing your spirit. This will also cover step 9 that I've written, which is also to reflect. So that'll also reflect, but you're reflecting from a spiritual point of view, not just from the physical, emotional point of view from this lifetime. So really, from a shamanic point of view, we're getting up into bigger past life situations. And number 10, welcoming new beginnings. So you want to make sure that you have space in your life to welcome what it is that you want to see on the other side of cutting ties. So say, for example, it might be not experiencing the type of love that you want to experience. So with the candles, might be in a situation of where, and we're just using, I guess, that toxic narcissistic situation because it's such a clear, simple one to explain. It might be, being in a relationship where you're always serving the other person. So cutting the ties, what would be different about what you're calling in is someone that loves, adores, and appreciates you. And this might be someone who's doing things for you. So where you might fall into this not matching or attracting is you need to heal that gap in between. And the gap in between would be tapping into this part of you that is allowing, that is receiving. Because if you've never been in a situation where you've been the receiver before and you've always been the people pleaser, the giver, this is going to feel really weird. It's going to feel really strange. So I want you guys to practice that as part of your welcoming and the new beginning side of it. And I can see Lorianne saying, we are so ready to have our manifesting power dial increased 100%. And that's why I've created this event that we're doing on September 1st. For those of you who are in a little potion club, or if you purchased a ticket from the Soul Alchemy Potions website, I do prefer you get to get a potion rather than just buy a ticket. And in fact, I think the potions are cheaper than the ticket. Not counting postage though. So definitely love you to have something to have, to hold, and to work with. And let's get into the ritual side of it. So with cutting the ties, there's a few different ways that we can do this. So the candle magic, which I will talk about predominantly, there is a string method as well. Then there's also the visualization method. So we'll talk about the visualization method first, because with this, it's simply closing your eyes, visualizing yourself in your aura, your space, your little beautiful egg. And it's visualizing the person or the place or the situation of what you're wanting to cut these ties around, and see yourself in golden protection energy. I would call on your guides and your beings that love you unconditionally, or call on the angels that love you unconditionally. Call in your higher self and feel that higher self being connected. And I want you to, whether it's sensing and feeling where there's attachments that go to you, traditionally you will find them attached to different chakras. So you might find it attached to your solar plexus, literally draining or taking away your power. This is sometimes the vampiric energy attachment point. So what you want to do is, sometimes you can visualize Archangel Michael coming in with his blue sword and severing that. For me, sometimes this is crazy, but I visualize a lightsaber from the Star Wars. And I visualize the lightsaber because it cauterizes it. We're not leaving that wound, open to kind of attach to someone else. So this is why I like the lightsaber cauterizing method. That'd probably be a pretty fun meditation too. I have found that there are some visualization for cord cutting on Insight Timer. There's some on YouTube. So I don't want to go too much into that method, but essentially cauterizing is that one thing that I find that it's not included in every practice. So you want to heal off the part of you that had that wound or attachment, as well as making sure that it's sealed off, that the other person isn't attaching. Let me see. Oh, and Jake is saying, in human design, in sacral authority, it has been such a challenge learning to follow that and to wait to be the receiver. Yes, definitely. I think, especially if we've had, any people pleasing traits and things like that, we're so used to doing things for everyone else. So yeah, definitely tap into sacral, tap into solar plexus root chakra, heart chakra as well. The other one that I've written is the string method. So, for example, you might like to have a piece of string, or you might like to have a photo of the two of you. Sometimes what you can do is sticky tape or tie the string on each photograph. And you can even do a picture, like a photo, and cutting through the actual photo if you're in it with someone else. But what you can do is the string is symbolic of the actual psychic string. So definitely you can cut through and use that method. Use your guidance around if there's anything else that you need to do, like light a candle, write words, or write sort of like a little paragraph on what it is that you're letting go of to do with the situation. Make sure to also, give gratitude for the learning experience as well. And yeah, definitely be sealing off those little etheric what do you call it, ties can be like suckers or like little parasites coming from some people as well. And I'm just seeing Jake is saying, have you heard of cord removal and healing rather than cord cutting? This cutting can be dangerous because it leaves two ends of the cord still attached. Yeah, so I definitely would dissolve that cord within you, cauterize it first. So I like to cut it, cauterize it, and then it's really with working, like if we're looking into manifestation, what we need to look at is the core of why it was there in the first place. So always doing like that inner healing, I find, is really good, because you don't want to create your new character and then you create, other wounds or things that are also open. And this is a great point too, Amy Rhodes. So I've used a pointed clear quartz crystal to cut cords, throw cords into a violet fire, but ask Spirit to show me how these cords were formed and what issues relating to the chakras need healing in me. That is perfect. Those two things that you both have said. And I'm just looking for, I love to use this, which is a vocal wand. So sometimes you can even go in when you're cutting them. Vocals are quite special. I forget if it's 56 or 57 actual faces that they have within it, but they're quite amazing. I've even seen, one of my gorgeous friends, cloud busting, actually breaking up and dissolving clouds and things too. Oh, thanks, Jake. Yeah, so whatever really comes in for you guys, I want you to trust your intuition with this. But I just love to make sure all kind of aspects of the cord are done. I think about the cords being almost like a cancer or a can't say it today, malignancy. So when we think about clearing out cancer, cancer is usually formed from inflammation first. That's the alert. And in emotional side of things, when we're cord cutting, it would be that we have the stress and things. So the cord essentially is the cancer. So we don't just cut the cord, but we get to the root. Yeah, beautiful crystal, isn't it? So you want to get to the root. And as you're saying, Jake, yeah, get into the tendrils and the tentacles. So underneath, like, we can cut the cord and we can heal the wound, but we want to heal the emotion behind the wound. We want to heal that cancerous sort of part, because just like with cancer, it can grow back. So definitely look at the underneath side of it, what created that wound in the first place, and actually blessing your body too. And then it's so clever to alert you to whether it's cords or, harder things on a physical level. The other thing too, let me just make sure. So yeah, we've gone over the string method. The other thing too that you can do, say for example, if you've done all of this and the other person is reaching out and it's actually inflicting a bit of harm. So whether you've done the blocking and things like that, and they're still trying to get to you through other means, you can actually do a bit of a binding spell. So with this, what you can do, for example, say you've got a photo. So I don't have a photo here. Let's use the tarot card, for example. And what you want to do is you can do a white ribbon and the photo of the person, and you literally just bind that photo and you say, oh my gosh, look, I just realized I had the Emperor in my hand. So interesting. So you can wrap it around and you say, I bind you, and then the person's name, from doing harm against others and harm against yourself. And I always say 3 times. So this is another way that you can also use string or ribbon to help to remove situations. And I also sometimes will visualize after cord cutting my aura as a mirror that's like reflective. So anything that is thrown towards me, any cords or tentacles and things that are intended or thrown towards me. I have even seen black balls of energy and light coming from so-called gurus. What you do is just put up your mirror and you just state, I see you. And you literally just send it back. And I know that everyone talks about sending it with love. You can send it with love, but the mirrored version is really just, it's just sending back what it's bouncing it back onto them. So sometimes it's good to stay disengaged from it. And it's also reminder to be in that power, like we were talking about before, in this high priestess, empress, queen of swords type energy. So the next one, and this is probably the one that you'll see more often, and even sometimes in certain magic stores or online, you can actually get the candles where they're joined like this at the wick. So with this, they can be really great for cutting the tie spells and things. So what you might want to do though is get like a little pin, and you might want to carve, whether it's the initials, candles that are small can be harder. You could write it on sideways. So writing your name on one, writing the name of the person on the other. Generally, I just realized I've got a whole other thing of scribbling notes, and I've thought of 2 seconds before going live. Rather than my neat typed up notes. So yeah, also the candle color is important. So for example, if it's been a relationship, you more want to use red. If it's been a friendship, you more want to use pink. And I think I have, let me just check what color. Say for example, if it's like a family situation, you could also use perhaps blue or white. So your color of your candle, don't worry, like if you don't have those specific ones, but what you can do is use a white candle. It's sort of a safe fail safe, I think it's called. So yeah, using that, but what you want to do, so you've got your candles, you've got them in the little spots. I like to use cleansing vibes sprinkled around it to add that like extra kind of like magic and extra element. So the other thing too, say for example, if they're not tied or not sort of like joined at their wicks, what you can actually do is you could put like string that is going to burn as it goes down. So you'll see various different ones, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. You'll see a few examples of this too. It was just a little bit hard to get my desk and everything ready with candles to actually show you the process, but you will find examples online. So the other thing too, with part of this process, when I've got everything sort of set up and I'm looking at the ritual, I then will pull cards. So I might ask for, please show me things that I haven't seen about the situation, because sometimes there'll be things that you miss. So maybe pulling like 3 cards, see what else you need to learn from the situation. Let me just see what else I've written. Yeah, I sometimes will say something too, like I'm now releasing and cutting old ties that are negative or chaotic or inharmonious, whatever it is that you feel. And that when you're actually cutting the tie, if you're doing the string one, with the candle one, when you light them, you can either cut it and then burn them, or you can let the candle work at the same time. It really is up to like what you're feeling. So remember, with magic, it's around your intention, your energy you're putting into it. So whenever I'm doing this kind of work, I love to build power first. So whether it's drinking a potion first and seeing that quality imbue, whether I'm dancing, using affirmations and things as well. So let me just see. I also like that kind of process as cutting previous cords to old versions of yourself. So that can also be done when you're wanting to have a bit of a quantum leap and jump, and wanting to have one represent like that new life, that new version of self. So that is something else you could do. I also like to pull cards after it's done to see what it is that's coming in. And then, I would do the timelines meditation, maybe even while you're doing your candles. So little ones tend to burn down within like an hour or two. I like that and prefer that better than the big ones that take a long time to to go down. Let me know if there's any questions that you have. Oh, that's so cool, Jake. So Jake is saying working with the color is wonderful. We make candles and love making the different colors. Oh, that sounds so magical. Yeah, so much fun. I haven't had a chance to make candles like from scratch before. I've done some where you melt them together and things. Yeah. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful, and maybe drop me. Oh, hey, Laura, we're just finishing, but it was a really important one on cutting ties. So drop me a little purple emoji with what affirmation you're working with in our event coming up on September 1st, if you guys are joining us. And let me just bring back up. We will have more coming up shortly as well. So let me just pop this up. So yeah, go to the online event on soulalchemypotions.com to register for our event. It will come through after you buy a potion. You will be sent an auto link that will come through. It does take a little bit of time. If it doesn't come through to you, please let me know and I will like personally send it. So yeah, there we have it. And on, what is it, tomorrow, based on Jupiter, I'm talking about psionic powers. So super, super cool. Can't wait to bring that show to you. We're going to be talking about X-Men-like abilities and maybe a few different things that you can do. Also, go and check out the meditation that I have up here. So yeah, the holographic voice imprinting, a new one. If you haven't tried it yet, oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Emma. I love you guys so much. All right. Well, have a wonderful week, and I will see you tomorrow on Mess on Jupiter. Yeah, it's going to be a great one. I'll see you there. Bye.